What's up, my tokers, jokers, and smokers? It's been a while, y'all. It's been a while. I've been crazy. So many things have happened, and I felt that tonight, 7 o'clock, it being a nice little Thursday, wonderful, wonderful day, we would sit down and I would use my storytelling abilities to let the people know what happened at the Capitol, a few days ago with these new bills that are being introduced, what the bills mean, and things of that nature. I'll be joined a little bit later in the show with Amie Carter. Um, you know, I think it's best for when people, when people want to know about these people, that they just tell you themselves and stuff like that. And honestly, I want to make sure that you, my loyal smokers, tokers, and jokers, get a little bit of perspective from what this impacts, why it's important, and things of that nature. And I think that for the longest time in my life, I've just stood still. I just didn't really pick a side because, hey, smooth sailing is pretty decent for me, right? And I've found that that doesn't work in this case, unfortunately. And so there's a bunch of drama that's ensued and things of that nature. So we're going to take tonight to kind of put a lot of these rumors to bed and give people the facts. Here at Deliciously Dope, we've changed a few things around, and it's for the better, and things of that nature, and creative differences. And we are excited to announce that we are right there. The first episode of the daily or of Deliciously Dope: A Journey into the World of Culinary Cannabis is right there. It's almost going to be out, guys. We're almost done with it. But yeah, let's get on with the show, you guys. It's the Daily Chronicles coming at your faces. We made a shorter little intro there. It's pretty neat. How you doing, Amie Carter?
Hello, hello. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. Thank you for coming on the show. Um,
Yes.
I got to finally meet you in person, this past week, and let me say that, meeting a person, like learning about them and then seeing them and then being able to, like, sit down and talk to them one on one, your reputation does in fact precede you, seriously. And I wanted to see what was going on, so we went to the Capitol. Now, do me a favor and tell people a little bit about who you are and what you've done. If you had to sum up what you've done, what would you tell them?
Okay. All right. Well, I came into the industry. Well, let's start here.
Okay.
My son was diagnosed with autism, ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder when he was just 2.5 years old. So I fought the mental health care system here in Michigan. I navigated my way through. I became an instructor for the National Alliance of Mental Illness. I served on the board. I also helped put in an autism center out in Lapeer. And I just, surrounded myself with everything to find balance in my life
Right.
and to get my son help. And he was on a slew of medications. Nothing was working, and he was violent and aggressive. So I had bruises, welts, ribs out of
Mm.
place, black eyes. CPS was almost going to remove him from my house
Hmm.
because they were worried about me.
Right.
And, with all of the efforts, it was still really bad. So I ended up getting his card for nausea and headaches. And in doing that, it calmed his aggression.
Okay.
So I talked to Michael Camorn, and we petitioned to get autism as an approved condition for medical
Okay.
marijuana, and we succeeded in 2018. So since then, I am happy to report my son's IQ has increased, his cognitive impairment has
Love it.
diminished. He is in general ed for the first time,
Mm.
and he has not gotten physically aggressive with me in I don't know how long, a very long time. Um, I mean, it's not a cure. He's still,
Right.
wow, it's a world of difference. And So then I went ahead and I started working on what's called Jaden's Law, which is House Bill 4796 and 4797. And they're actually sitting in the Education Committee right now. And that
Okay.
would allow access for children to have medical marijuana non smokable while
Right.
they're at school. So we're currently working on that. But then these current bills got introduced here, just a few weeks ago. So I pretty much have cleared my schedule to dedicate myself to this fight, basically.
Jeremiah Lanes, big shout out, man. Sorry. Um, the takeaway there, y'all, it's important to notice. So what I've gained from that is this, and it's a little bit of important, context to the situation. Anything medical, if you will, mental illness and things of that nature. Okay, you don't suffer from ADD. You live with ADD. You know what I mean? So that's very distinct. If you saw, no one really, to say everybody suffers is a very broadened term that I really wish we wouldn't have used. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, and there's not a connotation, I guess, tied to it until you give it one. But I just want to make sure, because we're at that point right now where we kind of have to explain everything. We might as well include that just to show appreciation to mental health. And that's the thing. You don't know what people are dealing with, on the inside until you sit down and talk to them. Dude, that's amazing. Seriously, like that's now, would you say it's a full 180 from what it used to currently be, or do you think it was, like a completely different person? Like, how would you? I'm
Yeah,
just trying to get to the
it's
mindset.
a complete change. I mean,
Okay.
he is problem solving. He's hitting milestones that I never thought that he would hit, and he's
That's so
been.
awesome.
I mean, my friends and family can see it too firsthand because uh, they know what he was like previous to
Right.
this, and of course he matured some. But I really, my mom, my daughter, everybody around contributes it to cannabis oil because it's almost like it
Okay.
made different connections in his brain or reduced the inflammation in his brain. It
Created neural pathways.
it really did. I mean,
Yeah.
it blows my mind. It really does. I can't wait for when they start doing more research on it because it's just fascinating to me. We've tried several different pharmaceuticals, and I will tell you, cannabis oil for Jaden is like taking a stimulant like an Adderall because it slows him down. It's like taking a mood stabilizer.
Right.
It's like taking like a even like a Xanax to kind of calm, and it's all in one, and it's natural, and it doesn't have those side effects like those pharmaceuticals did.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's, there's so much to be said about that story. There really is. And I don't think that you could pick such a monolithic point, or reason in your life to kind of move forward. And seriously, thank you. That's huge, man. Like he's got a good mom. I'm just gonna put it
Thank you.
there. All
Thank
right.
you.
Like
And
that's
I do want to like scream it out to the rooftops, like,
hi.
hey, this is a
How are you now?
possibility for, your child. If
Right.
somebody has a child that's violent and aggressive, it is not a fun place to be.
Right.
And they can injure the other siblings and you can get into, courts and it just gets really complicated. And I've known families that have had to sign their rights off to their
Yep.
child. And it's
Yep.
like, hey, try this first because it made a world of difference.
You
So,
know, I'm with it. Okay, I'm with it. So I've had a fight with I have two daughters. My oldest daughter's mother, and she wanted to, treat ADD one way, and I was like, no, 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 we should treat it this way. And she was like, well, how do you know that? And well, because I was treated that way, and look how I turned out. You know what I mean? So that's not a good. I'm saying, listen, I'm not perfect, okay, but if I can be like, hey, yo, maybe don't do that, let's go that way. And and so it is such a stigmatized, like, in sticky situation, I guess is the best way to explain it. And I you're a pioneer. That's really what it comes down to. Seriously, you are a pioneer. Take that to whatever bank and cash it, because
thank
girl,
you.
you
And
earned
and
it.
that's actually like, and I appreciate that so much.
Hmm.
What I tell parents when they do contact me, because I do free consultations over the
Right.
phone, and it feels foreign, making their own medicine, not having a doctor say, or a pharmacist. You're used to going there, and you really have to figure it out on your own, and
Hmm.
start small and increase, and play around with it. It takes a while to figure it out, but um it's so worth it.
And it really is. Like, here's the thing, people. CBD doesn't get you high. That's really what I want to say first and foremost. So, we're not talking about getting your teenager stoned. They're going to do that on their own. You understand? They're going to find their way to it. We all kind of did. Don't lie and say, you know what I mean? Don't Bill Clinton this and be like, I didn't inhale. Yes, you did. Calm down. You loved it. Otherwise, you would not be able to play saxophone, my man. I'm just saying. You were white. Let's just face it. The only reason you're good at that is because you smoke a lot of weed. I guarantee it. But fact
Well,
of
I
the
do want to
matter is,
interject because Jaden does get THC in his.
right.
He
I'm
does. He
trying to
does get the
introduce people to the
psychoactive. But
right.
I recommend starting out with CBD
That's what I
oil,
was. Yep, that's what I was
and
saying.
it really depends on, Jaden was on
Yep.
a slew of pharmaceuticals. So, for him, he was used to having that psychoactive effect. And
Right.
with violence and aggression, I feel it's necessary. But I know
Yeah.
a lot of families that have nonverbal autistic children that take full spectrum CBD oil and have
Hmm.
started talking. So
Yeah.
it
That
just
was
really depends on your child and what you're trying to treat, what symptoms you're looking at. So.
absolutely, and that was my point. I'm just very long-winded at what I say because I do suffer from ADD,
Mhm.
um, as we previously aforementioned. But yeah, I mean, I look at it this way. So it's a plant, okay? And when my daughters come to me and they go, "Dad, I want to smoke pot," I'm like, "Cool, let's do this." You know what I mean? I'm gonna tell you straight now. I'm not gonna tell them no. But at the same time, if that's the case, they can have CBD. It's non-psychoactive. It's better than cigarettes. You can't get in trouble for it. Sue me. You see what I'm saying? And that's
I
my
get
point. When you turn
you.
18, we'll have a different conversation.
Hmm.
That's the way I see it. You know, going back to what happened this week, I wanna kind of take people through what happened at the Capitol, and
Hmm.
how iconic, what that means to the normal, Joe Schmo in the street, because I don't think that the implications are being driven, you know, across, I guess candidly. Like, it's interesting because they'll pop up, the MCMA will pop up somewhere and then immediately it's gone. They have a very, I'm not going to lie to you, they have a very good marketing team. They've got keywords, they've got key people flagged out of certain things. Like, this shit goes deep.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And
But,
they've filled
oh,
people's
and they're
pockets for
petty.
sure.
And they're petty.
Hmm.
Like, listen, everything will make sense. And forgive me, but I want to take a few minutes and kind of just walk people through what I saw and like how it happened, and
Hmm.
um so, it was kind of a bleak day. Like, it really was. It wasn't sunshiny out. It was just kind of meh. The air's kind of thick. There's tension. What are we doing? What's going on? Like, this is real.
Hmm.
You get those butterflies in your stomach that, yeah, you might have to take a couple nips off the vape pen or whatever have you, smoke a joint. Hey, that's legal, and get into adult mode, and then you walk up and you see that billboard out front, like, okay, like, that's legit. It's funny as fuck, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. The billboard was great. I loved it.
it was great. And
Yeah.
then you had the
Thank you,
actor
MCA.
there. Exactly. But you hear these people on the steps of the Capitol with the bullhorn. You see all these like-minded caregivers. That was the rally, with Ryan Bringle and everybody like that. You spoke at it. A bunch of people spoke. Adam Brooke spoke at it. Rick Thompson. Keep name dropping to hurt my toes here, but the point is, everybody spoke. And then if you for this week, fast forward to this week, they didn't take any of that seriously. And there, we sat down in this courtroom style. I'm telling you, like, when I sit in those rooms, I kind of have like a flash of PTSD because, I know what the inside of a courtroom looks like. I know what the inside of a jail cell looks like. Come on, I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, I went to jail. Like, it is what it is. But I wasn't in there like, 6, 7, 8 years. It wasn't anything like that. You know what I mean? So low term. I didn't even do what was it, 365. 365 means you get an automatic year, which that's straight to prison. They just, jails are full. Point is, I was a delinquent. Recidivist? No. Delinquent? We'd help that. But, I know how that works. I know courts work. You walk in with enough money, they don't give a shit. How much money can we make off you? Now, hang on a second. They gave, and here's what I see. You got a whole congregation of people full up. You got, I wouldn't say the enemy, but you've got, side A and side B sitting together in these seats. Oh, that's just asking for an issue. But at the same time, we each knew the first person that throws that jab at the other person automatically loses. Okay? But at the same time, we're disruptors. We don't want to follow this vanguard, if you will. I say we because everyone there was standing up for something. There are some iconic people, among us. They know who they are. Okay, I've already probably dropped their names. We're talking to one of them. The point is, it was a powerful production, but the play in itself, and I was watching this as a bystander, I keep an open mind to everything. So I look at everything and I'm like, okay, this is possible, this is possible, this is possible. What's that? So I looked at the entire situation right then and there, and I was like, check this out. Take money out of the situation, would we be here? Nope. If it wasn't a brand new industry, billion-dollar industry, all of those facts and statistics that they got, sadly, were incorrect. Because I want to just point out one thing that I noticed. How are you going to sit here and say from ages 18 to 21? That means you went and asked people that legally can't smoke marijuana. Did you ask medical patients? Because I kind of bet you didn't. Because if you did, you would be hiding behind them, much like you're hiding behind your false statistics and numbers. But listen, that's just what I saw. Now, that's not the people that know those numbers, the activists themselves. That's just what, hey, I'm new to this. That's what I saw, okay? Then I'm like, well, wait a minute. If you're lying about that, what else is not true? And hang on. I wanted to listen. I will listen to any argument or any side logically, as long as I'm high. And you better bet your ass I was sitting there baked, because I needed to calm my anxiety from said courtroom. Moving on. I then noticed everyone, it was set up kind of diligently. There was everybody, we got a chance to kind of speak up and talk about what it was. People got to cut in. But then I noticed, this clock is ticking away, and ain't nobody that's filled out a card really got a chance to say anything. And so, but all the people that, were for these bills got to speak and weren't rushed and weren't, demoralized in front of, a bevy of peers or anything of that nature. That didn't really seem right to me.
Yeah, I had questioned that, and I guess since they introduced the bill, those reps are the ones that said how the meeting would go.
Right.
And I think all those statistics and numbers that were really irrelevant in a lot of ways. And that was just buying up. They were just using our time. They did that on purpose. And even they did go 15 minutes over, but how many reps left before that? And
half of the panel.
Yeah, half the panel left. So it was just, I don't understand why they wouldn't do opposing side, supporting side, opposing side, supporting side, and kind of go back and forth.
Like a debate.
It seems like they would have did that. I don't know.
My personal perspective, logically looking at it, when a person doesn't do that, they aren't ready to answer they don't have a defense. So furthermore, let me go back to what actually happened since you were there, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, please. Imagery is, I have a semi-eidetic memory. I can look at things. The point is, so the lady, Yancey, okay, Rep Yancey, she was on point though. She was on point. She was like, did you ever consider this? No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Hi. And things of that nature. And so she called him out and she was like, no. Did you ever consider this? No. And then when he was like, oh, cannabis stinks. I don't have to tell you, what evil person, Dr. Evil, I might add. He said it himself. Right, Rick? But anyways, that shit was funny. He's like, he said it himself. But the point is, I don't have to ask anybody in that room, does cannabis stink? Because here's the thing. Everything that he said on that table as a prop, that you can get legally has killed more people than weed ever has.
Mm-hmm.
Collectively, don't even get me fucking started.
And he's not talking about the safety of that.
No, he's not. Yo, how many kids die from teen drinking alone? More than weed. All right, how many kids die from ODing on fucking aspirin? More than weed. How many kids die from, swallowing that Sudafed that you gotta show your license to get? Yo, homie, no, come on. You know what I mean? Stop hiding behind false statistics to prove and launder false money, bro.
False statistics is the thing about it, though. Is like you have to do a lot of work looking for statistics, and actually being there at the hearing was pretty interesting because they're able to figure out what these big companies are using for their statistics and their data. And what was it, AGE or something like that?
AGE, AEG or something like that.
Frontier, yeah. I went to both of those today. It's quite interesting how they're using those pieces of data because, again, it didn't separate medical from recreational.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't AGE or what that sounds familiar? Does that have ties to Clinton?
I'm not sure, does it? I wouldn't be surprised.
I've got some conspiracy theorist friends out there that they're breaming at the answer right now. They're like, yo, yes, no. Let them work. They'll dive deep into the heart of Reddit and find me the answer. I remember hearing something about that, and those acronyms and those statistics and those people sound very familiar. Plus, that bow tie was kind of hard not to remember. He reminds me of the professor from the Ninja Turtle movies. You remember that shit?
Yes.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, He's also an idiot. Anyways, the point is, he was, but there was so much tension in the air that day that there was tension, and then. They say you can't feel someone else's silent pain as an empath sitting in front of you. I was going insane. Mm-hmm. There was different, energies all over the room. And I can tell you without any goddamn question, everybody in that panel was sweating. I saw people cry. Okay? As they fucking should. That's the truth. Okay? But at the same time, I do got some questions. Like, listen, I'm new to this. Okay, so let's go back to, talk about Last Prisoner Project. What they're doing in Michigan is amazing. What they're doing, period, is amazing. Weldon Angelo is, a bunch of people that are involved with it. Cool. I'm not trying to skip over it. They're doing an awesome job. I'm just trying to make my point before I fucking forget. So they've made it to where you can't go to jail for a cannabis crime, basically. You know what I'm saying? If you have enough money, you're going to stay your ass out of jail. Okay. So you can't go to jail or be jailed for a cannabis crime, period. They're just going to find the shit out of you and take your stuff. Okay, let's leave it at that. All right. So let's say that the bills go through, and then they're like, okay, now everybody's stuck in limbo. Now they're forced to either pay a fine and get their shit taken away and confiscated, or become legit. Either way, they've got to pay to play. That's what it is. You've taken the choice out of the matter. That is the issue.
Sure. It is.
How is that not fucking like... That's entrapment.
That's a pretty deep question. I'm been thinking about it all day, and here we are.
Yeah.
That's how it works. But moving on, because I don't remember anymore.
I mean, that's, I thought about that, and I'm just like, well, I that was inside that day, right before Susan got us. It is Susan, right? Her name's Susan.
Senator? Hey, Amy's got a good story to tell, though. This is kind of cool. Go ahead. This is neat.
Let's get it.
Okay, so yesterday we were up, More Than Hope, our organization. We went up to Vehicle City Social yesterday, and we got over 50 emails sent. We had people come up and, we answered questions and all that. In doing that, I ran across Representative DeMoose. I'm sure you remember him. Yep. He was not very nice at all. And he kept referring to it as drugs. And he kept referring to caregivers almost like they're criminals, and that they're trying to sell their drugs, and so anyways, I went to his Facebook page because the MCA had posted something about it, and he had the rudest post on there. He's like, I'm sitting in this court or in the hearing room, and this is ridiculous. I'm going to have to listen to testimony from caregivers in quotations and
Right.
talk about their drugs and how they want to sell them. And it rubbed me the wrong way. So I commented and we started going back and forth. He was responding to me and I brought up a lot of really good points. Like, gosh, where do I begin? One point was, it's going to hurt other industries. It's going to hurt the grow shops. It's going to hurt the, electrical industry. Like these bills were drafted without the thought of these patients and these caregivers in our current system. And we need to sit down and read, like, these bills are bad. They're selfish. They're about money. And I made some really good points basically. And he actually responded and said, I am not sure on how I'm going to vote on these. And I would like a phone conversation. Could you email me your phone number? I'd like to set up a time to meet with you. You made some really good points.
Okay.
And
She told
then
him to make a movie too.
I did. So then this
Did you cut out?
again
Your mic.
on,
There you go. There you go.
okay, he replied again on Facebook, and
Okay.
he said that he put in a request to slow down legislation. And I found out today that they are not having the hearing on Tuesday.
Oh,
More
shit.
time. We have more time.
Oh, shit.
So, and he is a Republican. He's in the Harbor Springs area. I put a Facebook live video out yesterday, trying to reach out to anybody in the Petoskey Harbor Springs area that are constituents. I know there's not a lot of provisioning centers up there, and I would love for his constituents to reach out, caregivers and patients, and let them know that this is wrong. These bills are wrong. And I mean, we're not opposed to, working through some things and
Right.
making a few slight changes. And, I mean, we're not really opposed to even testing if the infrastructure is in place and the cost isn't very expensive. Yeah.
Right.
But to have it mandated in 6 months, I'm like, how long will I have to wait for my son's medicine? And how am I going to afford $400 a month? Like, these things were not thought of when this bill was drafted. And so he's listening. And I'm really, really happy that I feel like I got through to him. And he's a Republican. And he was
I
very,
just kind of hope
very,
it's not, a dog and pony show. I really don't want it to be an issue. You know what I mean? I just want to be able to have nature legal. You know what I mean? Have nature legal. Just have it to where shrooms are around the corner and things of that nature. But I really want to see I want to see people get their medicine. I really believe that there's 3 different facets of cannabis, and there's home grow, then there's craft, and then there's your corporate. I think that in each lane they would ideally work. I think they could mimic beer. But when you have one swerving over or bleeding over to the other, it's never going to work. I think that that's amazing that he's listening, and I think that it's good. I think that it's a good, a good step in the right direction to do it democratically. I think that that's smart. We also got someone backstage. I think you know him, and I know he was there. And, it's always good to have a third perspective on things to kind of build a foundation on what happened. And with any other further ado, y'all, here's Mr. Rick. How you doing? Welcome to the show, man.
I'm always good. How are you?
Oh, great, man. Great. Did you hear what she just
Hi,
said?
Rick.
Yeah, I sure did. Yep, I did.
Yes. I mean, that changed my whole day. I mean, it was a great day anyway, but it just added more to it. That's fucking great. Seriously, here we go. Let's do this. If I may, to add to that, if you don't mind. So back when, do you remember it was 5128 and 5129 about consumption? I went and talked to the state rep. I actually sat down. Gigi Diaz was with me. Bronson was with us. We sat down and we talked to her about it. And she actually listened. And then look what happened with consumption. So more to your point, Amie, I think that they're listening, man. I think they are. It doesn't matter red or blue. I think that they are listening. I think that as a collective, they're not listening, and that's where I kind of want to, Rick, tell us that day. What did you feel walking up and seeing that LED sign that of Dr. Evil, if you will?
I'd sort of been tipped off that it was going to be there before.
Oh, okay.
So I was expecting to see, and frankly, I was looking for a parking spot. So I drove down and I got on Capitol. So I drove past it in my car. I rolled my window down and I yelled, "Just vote no!" as I was driving past, because I saw some people being interviewed in front of there, and I wasn't sure exactly what their stance on it was. So I wanted to make sure.
Just straight to know.
Yeah, they did this to us. It's important to remember that we had the caregiver rally on September 15th, and what happened there was the MCMA parked, I think, exactly that same vehicle or something just like it, with a message out there. Here's the difference, though. We were unambiguous in exactly who we were targeting and what we were saying. The MCMA message was kind of lost. It was like there's cancer patients and then there's cannabis on there. It was difficult to decipher that it was actually a slam against caregivers. It was so poorly done.
It was,
yeah,
too.
It just kind of went along with their safety angle. And it's really just an angle that they're using because I was surprised. The representatives, with the questions that they ask, they're very uneducated on our industry. Mm-hmm. And as, a plant and as medicine, I was really surprised at a lot of questions. And so I can see where that the safety angle of lies, could spark them to be like, oh, yeah, we need to do this. But, cannabis doesn't hurt people. And I've never turned the news on for them to be like, oh, more people hospitalized because that caregiver, the caregiver products, never once, ever have I heard that. So anyways.
It just is okay. And so when Steve Linder and the other, I don't remember the person that was with
Kelly
him.
Edgerton.
Thank you. I listen, she was there, I may dislike her, but she still has a name. When they were doing their saying their statements and things, they tried to set up all these props in front of everyone, all these pictures of weed and stuff, and they're like, cannabis plants are big and they stink, and caregivers and dude, it was I'm just like, that's wrong. I mean, that's wrong, and that's like, there was issues with what he said clearly, and yes, you were absolutely correct, absolutely uneducated. Yeah, cannabis education could change, and absolutely is needed. That's what we're doing here. We're erasing the stigma. We're bringing it to the people, and things of that, that nature. Sunshine, she was there. She had baby Anastasia with her, and that's what was it, Michigan's youngest cannabis patient? Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, and you can't take that baby's medicine away. Don't do that. That's not okay. And it's, Rick, it's like I was telling you back at the Capitol when I saw you speaking there, man. When they turn around and attack the same people that, paved the road they're now driving on, that's an issue.
Well, I think what we're all talking about here is that there are some bills proposed in front of the legislature which have positive effect. Jaden's law, for one.
Correct.
There's a decriminalization bill which was going to be presented soon that would just remove cannabis directly from the schedule. We're not opposed to positive changes.
Right.
Not like we're just absolutely, not saying yes to anything.
Right.
It has to make sense, and it has to be crafted from a position of understanding and working with the cannabis community. And I know that Amie worked with lawmakers to craft Jaden's law to make sure that it was something that could get passed and it was something that was legally compliant and it wouldn't be, challenged in a court because we'd use language that we thought was clear, but that the legislators don't.
Right.
So that's the proper purpose. That's a proper process. And in this instance, I don't feel proper process was achieved. I'm on the Democratic Cannabis Caucus, the Cannabis Caucus of the Michigan Democratic Party. I represent Flint in the Genesee County area, the 6th congressional district on that. And I'm very proud to do that. I can promise you none of the Democrats that sponsored these bills brought those bills to the Cannabis Caucus to say, hey, Democratic Party, people that I represent, what do you think about this?
Right.
No, it was done in secret. That's what you do when you're trying to hide stuff.
Yep.
Just like you mentioned, Rod. That was a I called it a dog and pony show and got in trouble for it. But what else? What else are you going to say about it? It's true that they brought out 12 gigantic posters with pictures of cannabis plants on them, specifically to show how much space is consumed by 12 plants. Now, that's nowhere in the language of the bills, right?
No.
But I got smacked down for not speaking specifically to the language of the bills.
Stick to the merit, he said.
And then, Linder, a bottle of wine, a bottle of beer, a bottle of whiskey, a jar of aspirin, Sudafed, and a jar of cannabis, and then some mysterious baggie that he claimed had caregiver cannabis in it, but you actually have to know a caregiver to acquire that, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't. So anyway, the point being, he had all these props. It was a very theatrical thing. He and Shelley Edgerton together took 18 minutes. And Latrish, Amie, I mean, our entire presentation with all of us was just barely over 18 minutes, right? What a tragedy.
Yeah.
What a tragedy.
And that's my point. You know, here's the thing. There are people that were asking opposing questions, though. That's my point. There were a couple. So Yancey was one of them. She was like, "But did you ever consider this? Did you ever consider that?" And they couldn't answer a few of her questions. She's like, "Okay, then shut up." You know, basically. And that's how I felt. I'm like, I want to shake your hand, you know. And then who was the gentleman with the tape over his eye or whatever his name was?
He was the youngest member there.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can remember. I can't recall his name. I'm sorry.
It's like Altman or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he got fired up, didn't he? He was like, "Yeah, but did you actually think this through?" And they were like, he's like, "I didn't think so." Like, he's just like, okay, you know.
They're frustrated because they're wasting their time right now. They came out there with no information. I mean, half the people in the room were cringing because of some of the things they were saying. It took Joe Sullivan to go up there and kind of break down the way the plants are grown.
Yeah,
it was pretty good, because with Amie having the conversation with Representative
Demus.
Yep.
He also didn't even understand that information. So how do you have that many people on a panel who want to make a decision for something so big like this, then call it small or dismiss it?
Hey, if you guys take your phone like this, Amie, real quick, Trish, if you take your phone and turn it like that, there you go.
Oh,
boom. Now you both can be in it. Yeah. That Trish, so you got something coming up on October 16th. What is that?
Oh, well, we'll be at the Grand Traverse Resort. That will be the Northern Michigan Cannabis Conference and Masquerade Ball. There'll be some exhibitors there. There'll be some people in conference. They're going to have there's a lot of things that you're going to be able to do during the day.
Oh, there's a ton of things. They're going to ride around from dispensary to dispensaries on it's like a I would say a beer tour almost, but it's with cannabis, obviously, and that's shuttled, so you get to like taste cannabis from different dispensaries with judge strains, and then they're gonna tally up the votes, and then on Halloween they're gonna pick out a winner for that. So that's gonna be gnarly. We're slowly falling down, but no. And then I'm gonna do a small little cooking demo. Then you've got the Masquerade Ball at the Grand Traverse, Resort and Spa, and then this weekend, Rick, you guys got Cannapalooza over in Nipsey, yeah?
Canna Jam.
Sorry, my bad. Both are great events, but I'm gonna try and make it. Today was my girlfriend's birthday, so I know we have something going on. Absolutely, I will tell her. She'll see this. I'm sorry.
But I don't remember your girlfriend's name, but I met her, so I figured I'd be kosher and kind.
No, it's absolutely fine. I'll let her know. She'll say thank you for sure. But so I know we got something going on Saturday, but I'm not sure how long that runs or anything of that nature. So we're gonna try and get out there. But
it's high noon, starting with the provisioning tour, and then you can come back, and then there's a golf outing if you want to join that. Then there is a Ganja Grappler. We'll have Katie, is it Pierce? Yeah. Her and her crew will be there. So it's kind of neat watching a bunch of people get stoned and try to, wrestle each other down.
Wrestle.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. There, and of course, you'll be there. You're going to do a food demonstration for us and some fancy French dish with cannabis, which is pretty super neat.
Appreciate it.
And
I mean, it's
then,
it's just keeping it simple. That's really what it is. You know, these
right.
ingredients are cheap. You can feed a lot of people. It looks cool.
Yep. And then after that is the big hooray, which is going to be the masquerade.
Hmm.
And you get dinner and there's entertainment, there's prizes and things like that. The main deal of this is basically to just kind of bring in a situation where people around us can go enjoy something and be it a 420 friendly experience. And that's something that's kind of been hit and miss lately too, but you have to start creating the situation to be able to
Right.
have it grow. And we want to
And
see
there's
something
consumption at
magical
this
come out
event,
of it.
correct?
What's that?
There's consumption at this event, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Now,
There'll
what does
be
that mean? Because there's a lot of people that we've heard different things from different events and things of that nature. So, for your event, when you say consumption, for those of people that are out there that don't know, what does that mean?
so basically a lot of places that you go to, you wouldn't want to just open up and smoke in any specific area in that building, in the public. But this has got opportunity to, it has designated areas, which is a big deal.
Right.
Basically, the Grand Traverse Resort and things like that in those areas, it's a really tough
That's a
area
big
to be
deal.
able to get people to open up and be more open to cannabis.
Right.
So it's coming. And I think that that's going to show their community a lot about who we are as people and how much more respectful it could be in certain aspects, actually. You know what I'm saying? The fall colors are going to be at full peak. Traverse City is going to be blowing up. Sweetest day.
Hell
There's
yeah.
just so many different reasons to do it. So that's where it's at, and hope that will be starting at 7 o'clock.
Hell
And you
yeah.
can
Hell
find
yeah. And then
tickets for
Rick,
that on
for Canna Jam,
CannaIndustries.com.
hell yeah.
Yep.
Before we talk about
CannAindustries.com.
Canada Jam, Rodney,
Yeah.
let me just add to what you just talked about with Latricia up there. I had Heidi Knierim on my radio show earlier
Yep.
this week, and she talked about the designated consumption area for this particular event, and she described it as this wonderfully terraced a brick place outdoors where you have this view of the golf course and just an ideal location, which was just exclusively for cannabis smokers, which, sounds pretty darn awesome
You
right
can't
about
get better
now.
than that.
I got
Right.
the guy on the weather today said we're at 20 degrees warmer than normal for this particular time of year. Hell yeah, go outside,
Right.
smoke, man. That's a beautiful thing. As far as Canna Jam, though, I mean, if the grass grows, you can smoke there. It's a different environment. Unlike the very highly regulated casino situation with Soaring Eagle, this isn't a park in Ypsilanti. So once you comply with local ordinances, then you can do what you need to. So this will be a situation where there's several cannabis vendors there from licensed, regulated facilities. A special thing just added to the agenda about 1:15. John Sinclair will take the stage with some of the guys from, I believe, the Howling Diablos are going to be there and do some spoken word poetry with some music behind him. If you've never heard John Sinclair do that, you really should. We're not going to get that many more chances to hear John do this. And the other thing is he's just so damn good. I mean, every word he says is just like wisdom and honey dripping from biblical trees, right? So
Right.
when you listen to the man speak, you are enhanced. Your life is enhanced by being around John. So
Definitely what I
that's
mean.
a special thing. Plus, just tons of music. We have a laser light show with a Pink Floyd cover band called Echoes of Pink Floyd. Razor Ray's going to be there. And he's doing a tribute to Carlos Santana too.
Okay.
And another artist I didn't recognize is going to do a tribute to Bob Dylan, which would be great as well.
That's awesome.
Plus, probably
Hell
lots of cannabis floating around. So
Hell yeah. I mean, so no matter like your take on cannabis, there's an event out there coming soon to you or available to you, and I was down to the one in Niles, those were great. I was one in Lansing. That was great. So it pick your kind of music and then go with it, kind of pick your thing. And it couldn't be put on by better people. You've got the Claw Cannabis going up there, and then I think when they do the tour, they're going to hit the Botanical Code. They're going to hit. I think they're going to do Riverside Provisions and a couple of dispensaries in Traverse City. And then when you go to Cannon Jam, you got the vendors right there where you can purchase and then consume. Yo, that's perfect. I think that's so smart, and that's intuitive. And as event planners, y'all, you guys put some thought into this, and seriously, as a consumer, Thank you. That's my point. Like, thanks for actually thinking about this. Going back to what happened at the Capitol and what happened, in court, I say in my mind, and then what happened when I spoke with the state rep. We're out here trying to eradicate that stigma. Okay. Rick, I'm sure you can attest to this. Amie, you were just talking about it. With Rep Demoose, he was willing to listen. He's like, you know what, you're right. Let me hear you out. And then miraculously they bought us more time, if you will. So obviously we can't say that all of them are not going to listen, because some of them are listening. So that I can at least speak for two. Rick, do you know any other reps or anything that have actually listened? Or
First of all, let me clarify. The reason that there's not going to be a session next Tuesday is because one of the House representatives passed away, and next Tuesday is the
okay.
funeral.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
gosh, oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Okay.
that's very sad, but that's why the next date has been bumped to the 19th, because that would be the next scheduled date
Okay.
on a Tuesday at 10:30, which is their arranged meeting time.
Right.
It also seems, at least rumors are flying around right now, that Representative Houck may not allow additional testimony, which means baby Anastasia never gets a chance to speak to the House of Representatives. Neither does
Right.
Wes.
Right.
No, neither do any of the ill people or the very healthy people who support caregivers who happen to operate regulated businesses, like Kevin Pybus, who is sitting in the crowd there waiting to speak, to be able to tell
Yep.
them that the MCMA is not the only voice of the industry, and we don't agree with this. The Michigan Cannabis Industry Association strategically wanted to wait until day 2 to testify, because that's the day that they take votes on
Right.
the day 2 of testimony. And if they prevent them from having any testimony, that means the MICIA, representing 300 plus businesses in this
Right.
industry who do not support these bills, will have effectively been silenced. And that's a political move. That doesn't improve the lives of any citizens in Michigan, and it also doesn't restore confidence in government. And right now, a lot of people have very low levels of confidence in government. When we
Mhm.
see
Yep.
behavior like what we're seeing, it's no wonder we feel that way.
Listen, I'm an anarchist at heart. I'm not talking, Molotov cocktails or anything like that. I'm talking buying my milk straight from the farmer. Why should I pay taxes on something when I can get a better product right there? At the same time, it did feel like an attack. It really did. That dog and pony show we saw, it most certainly did. Condolences out to the rep that passed away. That's unfortunate. Let's send some healing vibes, y'all. This isn't a battle, okay? Let's let them, mourn. But at the same time, that's not going to cause us to change our mind. The point is still valid. Again, I want to reiterate, take money out of this entire situation. Do you think that this would be happening?
No, because at its core, this is taking caregiver access away from 42,000 unwilling patients,
Yep.
the sickest and most injured and ill
Cancer
and needy
patients, y'all. Cancer
people.
patients.
Yep, including pediatric patients. Every
Yep.
pediatric patient in the state of Michigan is serviced by a registered caregiver. When you start messing with caregivers, that automatically means you're messing with pediatric patients. And when we don't get to hear from the
Can't
parents of those, or from the grandparents of those, like Tanya, or from like Josie, who used to be a
Yep.
pediatric patient and actually survived to adulthood because of cannabis, when those voices are silenced, justice is not served.
No.
Right.
No.
Well, and it was a public hearing, and that really bothers me. And I know things in politics, like, they don't ever make sense. And the more I get into it, the more I get it. But I'm sitting here just thinking about it and how angry I am. There's 300,000 patients. There's 30,000 caregivers. We are constituents. We voted them in. We should have a voice, and we should be able to voice it in front of them. If we drive to Lansing, we take the time, it should be our right to be able to have 2 or 3 minutes. And that's a public hearing. Here, the opposing side, Big Weed, took up all that time, so that we only had 5 people that were opposing it, and half the reps are gone. How is that okay?
It's not.
That really bothers me in a whole. Even if it wasn't about cannabis, even if it was
Right.
about
Something
various
else,
other
right.
issues, It is
anything of the equestrian
liberating
type.
to go tell your story. It is
Right.
healing. It is, you know, they work for us. They should work for
Yep.
us. So that's just crazy to me that that law works like that, that government works like that.
Well, we understand that that particular committee has
Right.
many, many bills that were introduced way earlier than this set of package of bills was introduced, but yet this set of bills has been fast tracked for approval through this committee. The fact that one political group can just say, "I want these bills to go through," and magically their minions make it happen, that disgusts me.
It's not okay.
No, it's not. And the fact that you're taking other bills, Jaden's law, for example, and you're not considering them when you're giving these oppressive, clearly not in the best interests of the people, you're giving them a faster opportunity to get built. It's clearly all about money. The March date, March 2022, that's clearly about money. It's not about compassion. It's not about logic. It's not about reason. It's about getting caregivers out of the market as quickly as possible. Banning the use of flammable solvents to create concentrates. That is an attempt to drive cannabis consumers into the market, into the regulated market, in order to buy the concentrates instead of producing them legally themselves at home. Right. All of this just has dollar signs. Everywhere you see an S in these bills, you should just see a dollar sign.
Yep.
Because that's what it is.
Dude,
transparently so.
And that's the thing, like, I live in a very gray area of my life. I won't lie to you. As a chef, you guys know, if you get paid more somewhere else, I'm switching jobs. You know what I mean? Sorry, that's just, you chase that dollar sign. That's the truth of it. But at the same time, in this gray area of my life, once I see, you know, one side attack the other, that's a whole difference. Not in my house. Once you go after, you know, baby Anastasia, you know, you go after, you know, the cancer patients, you go after the veterans and people that need this, pediatric people as well. You know, that's the issue. Because in my mind, the art of war, once you kind of attack the people that are already injured that are trying to leave, or you attack the corpsmen, you know, the nurses and stuff, the people trying to patch you attack them, that's a different story.
Yeah,
you know, and
that's how it works.
It's not about money till it's about money. You know, and
the business gets in.
Exactly. Yeah. And how are you going to make nature illegal? Situation? One more time, Trish. Sorry.
I was wondering what everybody's thoughts were on or ideas or information about what's happening with it on a federal level at this point.
Oh,
do you know?
Yeah, I do, and you know. There are two things going on right now. There's the potential federal legalization, which seems very, very stalled. And then there's the same old, which is the funding of or defunding rather of the feds coming after us cannabis patients here in state legal cannabis areas. And we have to do that every single year through throwing a rider, a little piece of language into a big appropriations bill, because they will never pass it if it's just a thing that says leave people alone. So we have to slide it into another piece of legislation. And every year we're forced to, I'm sorry to use this term, we're forced to whore ourselves out in order to get the basic protections from the federal government that each and every one of these states have carved out by the will of their own people. You know, so my thoughts on federal law reform is you know, we still have our pathway to get the basics, but our industry really is harmed and our people are really harmed by 280E. There would be a lot less pressure on caregivers if 280E was removed and the regulated, not that I'm trying to promote regulated businesses, but if regulated businesses were more profitable, they wouldn't be scratching and clawing at every angle of industry in order to get a possible profit advantage, which is what they're doing by trying to snuff caregivers.
Yep.
I'm very concerned by what I see in 280E or in the Schumer proposal, which includes an escalating tax, which goes up to 25%, which is absolutely a non-starter. And then an interstate transfer of cannabis on a commercial level is a real problem too. There are a lot of our brothers and sisters that have been caregivers or patients or just, you know, our family members who've gotten into the cannabis industry, and they're small time, but they're making it happen for themselves. It's the American dream. And what kills that is thousands of pounds of inexpensive cannabis from Oregon, because they have a 2-year oversupply, or from Canada where there's a 3-year oversupply, or from California where they're looking for any place to get rid of the extra cannabis that they have there. So what we don't need is for our small business investment to get snuffed by a rapid expansion of multi-state operators. We'll end up with an America which produces cannabis the same way it produces cars. We make cars only a very few places in the United States of America. We could be that way with cannabis. So what a shame that would be. How many dreams would be dashed on the rocks of despair if that's how we ended up doing national cannabis law reform by giving advantage to these gigantic people who already have, by the way, probably not such great cannabis. It sat on a shelf for a long time waiting to find a market. We all know it degrades over time. How good could that be? I don't care if it passes testing. How good could that be?
Right.
It's not those and fresh ingredients. It's funny because they talk about this testing when, a lot of caregivers, they do test, A. B, or they want to, or they're not afraid to. B, it was on the corporate side that there was a recall on cannabis, or a couple of them, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was.
Name names, but there was a couple of them.
Yep. There was a recent one where there was about 1.6 pounds of cannabis that made it onto retail shelves, which was later discovered to have some kind of a microbial contamination and some pesticide contamination. Now, dig this. They claim that this contamination came in from a trim machine that they rented and was obviously contaminated before it went into their facility. Does that sound even possible on a logical level?
No.
That sounds like you're not cleaning your shit then.
It sounds to me like someone's at the corporate level trying to make an excuse for why their stuff didn't pass so that no one comes to inspect their facility, right? Because here's what I know, too. Batches nowadays are 50 pounds, all right? 50-pound batches are what they usually test. That's the maximum amount. If you want to minimize the amount of testing cost versus product, you test at the largest batch size. So if this is 1.6 pounds, where's the rest?
Yeah.
Where's the rest?
Yeah. I want to get to what Sunshine said here in this comment. She says, sometimes they don't want to hear from patients that created this industry. Susan, Wes, and Anastasia are the type of patients that we're fighting for. The ones that need the post protection. Eliminating the ability to create our own concentrates is directly attacking the cancer and pediatric patients. Absolutely. And then she says, continues to say, what cancer patient can afford $50 a gram for RSO when they're taking 1 gram per day? Absolutely. Absolutely. But listen, these big corporate people that are doing this to us, they're basing this all off of the fact of, well, what can you do? There's a lot we can do, and we're doing it. Amie, I think that your testimony was very powerful, and I think that it was terrifying, to sit up there. That's my point. It's very intimidating to sit there. It is. Rick, your testimony, well, it's on camera. I mean, I loved it, man. I loved it. They grabbed the cup. I thought I was about to watch you get arrested. Seriously. I'm
going to say this in all seriousness. Mm-hmm. I probably should have sat there for 1 minute longer and let them put the cuffs on me. And the reason being, then it would have been a news story and they would actually be paying attention to this. Have you seen media coverage of this event? No. Hearing,
I've seen a little, but it's not anything huge.
Not what it deserves. What it deserves. And I hate to be a guy who's trying to be antagonistic in order to draw the attention of media. But if we don't get media attention, the evil that they do goes unchallenged and it goes unpunished. And the voters in their particular districts don't know what they did. And our voices shouting it out at election time are just going to be one in a whole sea of voices. Everything gets drowned out when it comes down to that time. So if we don't make it known who's being bad and how they're being bad right now, it'll be forgotten by the collective experience. I'm sorry to say, but we know this to be true. We've watched it happen too many times.
Yep. And, they said something, I forget who said this, and Amie, Rick, Trish, please remind me who said this, but someone pointed out, and they were pointing to other states. They're like, hey, let's take an example from other states. Why the fuck should we worry about that? We're setting an example right now. There's a reason Michigan's the second in the nation, and that's because of what we have already established. Ergo, #no changes, y'all. That's what we're known for, okay? Why would you fuck with that?
Look, it's always good if you're going to modify the code. If you see a bad example from another state, don't do that, right? We can learn from other states by looking at things that they did that failed. That's my opinion.
Amie, Trish.
I just feel like Michigan's been agriculturally a craft state in the first place. And
That's what
I feel
MSU's
like
known
that
for.
people that live here really appreciate the four seasons and the way that we can grow in the state and have the privilege to do that. I feel like the state of Michigan wants to always separate itself from the glory of all the other states. You know, like maybe we're looking at upstate New York or all the way across there, kind of has a little bit of the same thing that we have, or northern Minnesota and so on. But I think that there's a very good opportunity for the state of Michigan to have its own brand, its own way, its own craft, and its own feel about it. Basically,
Amie?
so I mean, we don't have to be best in the nation of anything. I just think that we need to create an experience in the state so people will want to come here and have that experience. It'll be different in California. It'll be different wherever else, but this place has a lot of opportunity to do pairing with other crafts that are here too as well.
Amazing beer scene, amazing wine, and other stuff too.
There's
Absolutely,
not a lot
music.
of places you can go and have a cannabis shop or go somewhere and have like a glass of cherry wine from Traverse City and some cannabis from the UP or whatever, So just agriculturally, we have an opportunity to like make taste of everything here. So that's just my 2 cents.
Amie?
Well, I think that with the strong caregiver patient program that we have, and I have researched other states, and we have one of the best, if not the best,
longest lasting, wasn't there? Longest.
We have the best recreational laws. I feel that we paved the way, the patients and caregivers, to allow these bougie dispensaries and these big corporations to come in, and they can have their piece of the pie, but don't mess with what we're doing. Don't mess with our system. And I think what I've seen over the last few weeks and the way that we're uniting and coming together, I just want to continue to build that so that these attorneys, I heard that some of these attorneys working on this are national attorneys, and they've been doing this in other states, and they need to know that they need to leave Michigan alone. I mean, that's what I want to get the feel of. I want them to know that we're going to fight back. We're going to fight back hard every time.
Don't make us pull the hand out the mitten and bitch smack you. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, we're the mitten state, all right? We're also the high five that America left standing. But what makes you think we won't rip that hand out the mitten and hit you upside your face with it? That's the point. Like, there's a reason that, look at the strength symbol in Detroit, the icon. You Google Detroit, you got a fist in your face, literally, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's my point.
Steel industry, we have.
That's my point,
Yeah, we are fighters. We have the sit-down strike. There's Michigan is nothing. We're tough. We are very tough.
Resilient.
Detroit, Michigan. So.
And we grow the best weed too. Admit it, we grow the best weed. Shout out, dude, Burkle. I had the Burkle over there at Botanical Co. That was Franklin Fields, isn't it?
It is, yes.
That shit was good. Like, seriously, I'm not just saying that because you're here. I'm telling you that shit was good. And that's a good example. So Botanical Co. is a good example of a provisioning center / dispensary that's not corporate. You know what I mean? There's a couple of locations, and there's going to be a couple of locations, but they're not nationwide. They're from Michigan, y'all. And fuck Skynet. That's really what it comes down to. Like, dude, they just had this ad in Forbes where they're like, oh, we're going to flex that we bought, 315 and da-da-da-da-da. Dude, good for you. Good for you. Are you done gloating yet?
But you understand why they do that, though, Rod? Because they're so debt heavy right now that their only way to survive is to get gobbled up by somebody else, right? So what do? You say you advertise outside of the state for a company that's really only confined within the state because you're trying to sell your business and you're trying to make yourself seem like you have market value that might exceed what you do. I'll say this, though. I don't care who buys Sky Mint. I'll never go there. It could be a bunch of wonderful old ladies that crochet mittens for kittens, right? I'm still not going to the Sky Mint store. It doesn't matter. I'm sorry. When you buy that franchise, you are also buying its reputation, and people should know that it is devalued in this state because nobody will participate in it. It's part of the boycott. They deserve it. They did it themselves. They did it to themselves. And it happened way before this legislation was introduced. Those of you that know the history of the boycott and of our issues, we've been fighting this for a long time before they dropped these bills in September. So
if you know, you know. If you don't know, now you know. There is an active boycott in Michigan. There are some companies on it already. There are some new additives to it. There's a lot of drama up, down, in, around, in between it. But here's the thing. If you really want to understand, okay, why did this company make it to the boycott list, or really what's going on, follow the money. Just, it's like Rick said, yo, they're debt ridden, this, that, and the other, and stuff like that. Okay. I will say this. I have convictions about one thing that's kind of new and kind of near and dear to my heart that SkyMint that has sunk their fucking fangs into. Art Prize in Grand Rapids. You know what I mean? You guys have heard of Art Prize?
I saw that they sponsored the entire awards presentation. I also saw a Facebook post where they made disabled people sit on the floor.
What?
Yeah. That it was a full. So they made the disabled people, instead of giving them extra chairs, made them sit on the floor for the award ceremony at Art Prize.
At Art Prize?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
I mean, as truthful as Facebook posts are, I was not there, didn't see it with these beautiful brown eyes, but I will tell you this. Yeah, you're laughing because you know it's true. It's kind of shameful, and that's one of the things we don't need as a reputation for our industry.
No, we don't.
Type of thing. You know, there are a lot of people that are considering cannabis as a health choice in their life. A bad experience from an insensitive corporate partner that can ruin the opportunity for us to change their lives.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, and it's a damn shame that happened. You know, I really liked Art Prize. I think it's very innovative. I think it's just an amazing thing. I think it's got an awesome premise to it. I think that it's got a terrible sponsor. That's what I'm going to say. You know,
Rodney, haven't we seen a couple of events this year where SkyMint was actually going to be a sponsor, and then once the boycott status was known, they got bounced? In fact, I remember there was a banner was going to have SkyMint on there, and it was that opportunity was taken away and substituted out, I think, with BOCO, and another one in Western Michigan where SkyMint was going to sponsor something, and Rare Cannabis ended up subbing out for them because SkyMint had to get bounced because they're boycotted. They've lost out on a lot of opportunities because of this.
I like hearing the stories, and that's something I can definitely get behind, and I like seeing more of that. I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, if that's the one bad takeaway from me that makes me toxic, fine, then I'm a toxic fucking dick. But the point is, like, I that was very appeasing to see. They are scared. They are. But at the same time, I think that there's no forgiving them at this point. You're absolutely right. Going back to what you were saying, Rick, I don't care who buys it. You buy you buy the knife that stabbed people in the back and killed people. Can you really buy that in good conscience? That's up to, that's you. But I'll never step into the SkyMint. I have before. I won't lie to you. I gave them a chance like we did everybody, and then their weed was terrible, A, and B, what they do is terrible. This was pre-MCMA. This was back when there was 2 SkyMints, but now they're everywhere. They're like the new Walgreens, and it's annoying as shit. But it's terrible.
A couple of different ways corporations do things here in Michigan. You can take a look at SkyMint and Rare, which the only similarity between the two of them is that they grow their own product and they sell it only in their own stores, right? Gage has their own cultivation centers, but that's not nearly enough for all they consume. So they contract out to other farmers to be able to supply them legally throughout the system. Right. So those guys, when you talk about SkyMint, that's an internal supply situation. So they've sucked for a long time, and they've known they've sucked for a long time, but because they have the same sucky guys doing the same sucky job, their cannabis is consistently suck ass. So, when you don't recognize that as a corporation you need to make a change, that just says all kinds of bad things about your management team.
Oh, yeah. Does. I think Adam Brooks said, I like his comparison about Budweiser and SkyMint. Budweiser never wanted to be the best tasting beer. They just wanted to sell the most. I think that's the idea of SkyMint. They don't want to have the best tasting cannabis. They just want to sell the most. I think he hit the nail on the head with that. A coffin nail, hopefully, for SkyMint. But hey, we'll watch this Dracula movie a different time. The point is, y'all, these bills are terrible. These 5300, 5301, and 5302, correct?
But also 5319, 5320, and 5321. It is
What are
actually a
those?
6-bill package, not just a 3-bill package. So
Okay.
don't forget to take a look at those others. They're short, the other three,
Okay.
but they're all moving together. So we should consider them as one.
Still terrible. Write the reps, call them, email them daily if you have to. Please, 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 say the word. I definitely want to try and get over to see Vehicle City and the Genesee County club out there and guild.
Yeah,
I
we'll
want to
be
see
out there
more
on
and more of those
Sunday.
pop up. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
go on Sunday.
Sunday, the United Cannabis Caregiver Association. I can never UCCA.
I do it too. It's just thanks.
So many.
There's so
Right.
long. There's 5. We're 5 major caregiver organizations are going to be there.
So
Eating
UCCA.
breakfast
Yes.
with us, getting
Yeah, there's
people
Ooh.
signed up, and we're going to sit there with their computers and message it to thousands of people and like beg our grandparents and things. Not beg them, but we're going to talk them into it. And what do we get? Like 100, maybe probably
Right.
about 150 signatures the other day. We had parents that came in and talked, and it was pretty powerful. A lot of the people that were already there, dispensing and things like that too, came over, and it was a pretty eye-opening experience. It's neat.
I just want to give one thought out is
Absolutely.
if you are watching this and you are a caregiver, please call your 5 patients and ask them to please write the representatives. You can write your representative, you can write your state senator, you can write the education, or not the education committee, the regulatory committee.
Committee on Regulatory Reform.
All
Thank
of them.
you.
Anyone, but
And
definitely.
Roger Hout right now too.
Mm-hmm.
Contact him.
Yeah. Also, I want to point out the reason that we're sitting down and talking about this is because this is how problems get solved, y'all. This is how things happen. This is a very diplomatic thing that we're doing here. More so they than me. I'm just trying to help get eyes on it. I'm not a caregiver. I don't have 5 patients, but I do have people that watch this. Hi, y'all. So I want to get the word out there. But furthermore, Jen Bronson said it best on a post somewhere in the comments of the the Facebook drama. She said, this is the drama for the boycott is kind of taken away from the caregivers. Right now they need the eyes on them, and she's absolutely right, y'all. Let's instead of trying to sidestep this and create more drama and stuff, let's just kind of put that on the back burner, and I'm sure we can, and then focus on this bill. And I think that everyone needs to do that by contacting your patients and by contacting your reps and things of that nature, and going and doing this. Hell, you know what? If it's on Sunday, I'm definitely going to try to make it out there. I'm serious. Like, I don't have much going on during the day, but it's my
We
girlfriend's
do a
birthday weekend,
podcast
so
then? We do one.
yeah, we absolutely could.
Yeah.
We
What are
absolutely
the
could.
time periods on Sunday at Vehicle City, by the way?
Yeah.
I believe it's 11 o'clock until maybe 4 o'clock.
Well, how long are you guys going to be
We
there
can
doing
make it as long as we want to, as long
Okay.
as they're open. I tell you what, the last one we had, a lot of people said are coming through the door, or coming up to the table like at the end.
Right.
So we're gonna start trying to send some representatives to actually both of the social clubs here. Because
Yeah.
as people walk in, they're very receptive. We talk to them about it. That's how we're getting signatures. They're showing up to social clubs, and they are there to support the people that they get their products from, their
Yeah.
medicine from.
And I
So-
believe we're going to be at GC3 next Wednesday, probably noon until 4:20.
Yeah, it makes not. If
So there's
some
more than
local
one spot to do it.
somebody to
At the
say.
same time, contact anybody. Hit me up, hit them up, hit Rick up. Let us know, y'all. Reach out, speak up, speak out. Let us know. We'll put you in contact. We'll walk you through it. Once I learn how to do it, which I'm going to learn on Sunday, we'll tape that. We'll show everybody how to do it, and we'll, kind of, show them the whole process and stuff. I think that that's going to be great. I think that, I think this is what we have to do, and it's unfortunate. I think that it's needed to be done, but I don't think that anybody else could have done this, y'all. Seriously, thank you for this. As a millennial, I can say thank you. If you would have told me 10 years ago, hey, weed's going to be legal and these things are going to happen, I'm like, you're full of shit. Give me what you're smoking. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you guys have been doing this a lot longer than I have. I'm new to the scene, but obviously,
Thanks for having us, Rodney.
yeah,
Thank
yeah. It's Michigan, man. This is where we're from. This is always going to be home for a number of people, or it is home for a number of people at the same time, and respectively, like, fuck the MCMA. That's really what it comes down to, man. If they don't like it, well, they can kick rocks out the state because we're going to kick them out here soon. But thank you, Trish, coming on. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Amie Carter. I want to thank everybody out there that is a card holder, everybody that does everything legal and legit. I want to, thank all of the people in the black market, gray market, even there's some good corporate cannabis companies that aren't dicks. But thank you for kind of, standing up and being the vanguards of this new era, and going back to more of a holistic thing. Let's see more hempcrete. Let's see more, hemp wood and hemp wool and things like that. I read somewhere today that the original United States flag was made from hemp fibers. So let's just go back to that. But just the flag, not the stupid racist connotations that were around then and stupid archaic laws. Let's go back to the actual fucking flag. But my tokers, jokers, and smokers, we've reached another episode of the Daily Chronicles. Again, I want to thank my guests today, the amazing panel, the cannabis, pioneers and professionals here. But we're gonna keep doing this, y'all. We're gonna keeping up with the fight here. We're gonna turn it green. That's really what it's gonna come down to, and we're gonna make sure that the patients that need their medicine have their medicine. And I don't think that there's anything more commendable than that. And shit, if you guys want to cook it, let me know. But again, my tokers, jokers, and smokers, this has been another Daily Chronicles episode, y'all. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye. Bye, Rick.